What's poppin', T-Subs and T-Squad? So, girl, it's that time of year again. We down to the Real Housewives of Atlanta, child. Y'all get y'all peaches together, honey. This is season 13, episode 1. No justice, no peace. Now, I'm about to make this very clear to every last one of y'all. I don't give a flying hot damn about y'all comments, your tweets, your DMs, your Facebook posts, or whatever. I like who I like. I don't who I don't. I take up for who I want to take up for. And that's just where that's at. Now that we got all that under control, let's get it. All right, you guys. So, we see a couple of the cast talking about their lives since the whole COVID-19, since Miss Rona been acting like a young child, running around out here in these streets, and how that has affected them and affected their weight, because all of them got weight gain, and this, that, and this. Cynthia marched in the street in Atlanta for George Floyd. I do remember seeing that. Candy talks about raising a black man, raising a black son, a man, a boy, whatever, with the way that the world is now, especially with the racial climate that we're in. I thought that was interesting, so shout out for that. And then Portia and Dennis were out protesting when some shots rang out. And to let Portia tell it, the cops was trying to kill them. And then we see her down to the front lines. So shout out to you, Portia Luther King. Portia Luther King. Shout out to you, girl. Moving on. Cynthia's having a luncheon outside her house, and she invites Candy and Master Carmelo to always talk like this. She talked about how she was quarantined in LA for a while, but now her and Mike are back in Atlanta, and she is so happy and glad to be back in LA. Marlo shows up taking people temperatures and showing up with a face shield on, and then got a measuring tape to do the whole 6 feet thing. And it was so Marlo, y'all. Like, I made it up in my mind that I'm not going to give Marlo much, because now that leaking is gone, maybe she can be herself. And, I might be able to rock with Master Carmelo that always talk like this. Moving on. So then they call Kenya on FaceTime, because they talk about how, I think Candy said she hasn't talked to her in over a month. Sint said that she talked about 3, 4 times. And then, she always made it seem as if, she thinks that she's depressed, but she's really not sure. So she calls her, and then Kenya said that she was losing reception, and she had to call him back. And Kenya is on her way to the attorney. She's on her way, I guess, to get her divorce together. She starts crying and talking about how, she gained 30 pounds. And she calls Brandon and tells Brandon, all about how he done did her. And she's strumming her pain with her fingers. I'm going to ask y'all this question. Do y'all believe that Ashley and Kenya are now getting their karmas for the way that they have done everybody else? Like, it's kind of interesting how they're both getting their karma at the same damn time. Like, and I hate to admit it, but if we're talking about it from a karma standpoint, and I feel horrible for Kenya. Nobody deserves heartbreak. But you have said a lot of messed up things about people in their relationships. So, karma had to come back and collect. You're going to pay on the front, or you're going to pay on the back. But, much like Dineva say, that ass going to pay. Moving on. All right. So, Kenya gets to the lawyer's office, and she starts talking about how her marriage has been for the past 10 months. She talked about how she's a very outspoken person. She was a very confident person. And then they showed the montage of her being just that, clearing a lot of those girls the way that Kenya Moore does. And, she says with him, she always feels like she has to walk on eggshells. She never wants to make him upset. And my whole thing about that, Kenya, is this. Out of all of the lip and the mouth and the grievances that you done gave all of these other women, like, especially with the way that you gave it to Kim Fields, that was horrible. I'm not understanding why you can run down on these women, but you can't run down on your husband. I don't understand that. That makes absolutely no type of sense to me. Why would you want to be in a relationship with anybody if you can't even express yourself? Because you're right, that isn't you. But I feel like out of all of the mouth that you have ever given while you've been on this show, girl, please, but I guess, King, I'm gonna let you have it. So the lawyer is concerned about child custody, and the producers asks, what is he like as a dad to his other kids? And Kenya says that she doesn't want to answer that. So that means one of two things. He's a great father to them, or he treats them the same way he treats Brooklyn. While he's there, she's everything to him. But when he's gone, she's not. But then now that didn't come out her mouth. She didn't answer. That's just what I gathered from it. Drop down in the comments if you agree with me and or not. And then the lawyer proceeds to give Kenya some good advice. Like, listen, at the end of the day, stop dumbing yourself down. Stop downing yourself. Stop clowning yourself. Like, he never wanted you to begin with, Kenya. It does lend itself to what people said, that this was just a marriage out of convenience. A lot of people felt like he never really loved you at all. Kenya, you not, well, I would say you're not that great of an actress. I mean, you do a little yang around the house, Miss Bozak, but I don't really feel like, y'all, I don't know. We just gonna move on. We gonna talk about that on the live tomorrow. We gonna talk about that on the live. So Portia is out in Kentucky taking iPhone footage of her protesting in the streets for Breonna Taylor. Shout out to you, Portia. I agree with you 1,010%. You're a black woman. You're a mother now. I'm glad that you took the steps that you needed to take to learn more about your history. It's very important. So I'm proud of you, Portia. I give you a lot, but I'm always with you when you're right. So shout out to you, Portia, and thank you for your services. I definitely appreciate you doing that. Moving on. All right, you guys. So Candy and Riley talk. Riley is on her way to NYU for for law school. They talk about her dad, Block, and him not paying child support, and how Candy is now having to go to court for either to get, if not everything, at least half or a portion of what he owes. She said that Block, that deadbeat, owe her over $100,000. She had to do it by herself, and she can do it by herself. She is the legendary, Candy Burris of Escape. You understand me? She know how to make money. Child, these men need to get their shit together. I'm going to tell you that. Like, it shouldn't have to take a court or a white man to make you take care of what came from you, simple bitch. Moving on. She asked about would she be interested in having a relationship with him, and then Todd gives her some really great advice, which is, if he wants to try to be in your life like that, at least give him the chance to do so, but do it at your own pace. You don't have to jump because he say so. And I had to agree with that. And I normally don't agree with Todd, but when it comes to this, I had to agree with Todd on that. So now we see Portia Luther King Jr. still out protesting and taking footage with her phone. That's all we got for right now. Be right back. All right, y'all. So Cynthia and Candy go over Moore Manor and to see her remodeling ideas for the backyard. She's doing a whole overhaul of her backyard. Brooklyn's going to have her a little play area. She's getting a pool, a jacuzzi, a little bathhouse. She's going to do a lot out there. I can't wait to see what it's going to like when it's finished. I love seeing backyards like that, and then it's a bunch of wilderness in the back. I live for that. She tells them about how things were when she went to go take Brooklyn to see Mark here in New York. And when she was finished talking, Candy and Cynthia, they basically gave them their viewpoints, but they ain't said nothing than what nobody else haven't already said, which is, you don't need to be in this. Get up out of this. I love how Candy and Cynthia kept it all the way real with her. You know what I'm saying? Like, they say, listen, he treats you horribly. He talks to you horrible. We're not understanding why you're with him. You don't have to be with him. He's not really there for Brooklyn. You're basically doing it all on your own. Like, sever the ties. Get rid of him. And I'm all here for it. Get rid of him. Child, He getting his pussy played there. Listen. From what the streets is saying, Mark is running around here just throwing the boy puss. Here, left, right, sideways from the free throw line. That's what the peoples are saying. And I believe every word of it. He's slanging all kind of pussy around here, Kenya. Go on ahead and get yourself up out of this lesbian relationship, girl, and move on, which is what I'm about to do. Moving on. All right, you guys, we're back. So now Cynthia and Mike are at Lake Bailey, and they talk with each other. So they talk about how good their sex life has been since COVID-19. Mike made it very clear that he and his stroke game is responsible for Cynthia's ass getting fatter. Went on to the point to mimic how she sounds when she's in full orgasm. Listen, I'm glad Cynthia's getting her ankles knocked loose. So it is what it is. So then they talk about them cutting down the guest list to 50 people from the original 250 people. And Cynthia's bummed and feels like they should move the date so that all of her friends and family can be a part of it. And I understand how Cynthia feels, but Cynthia, at the end of the day, we're in the middle of a pandemic. And unfortunately, by law, everybody can't come. And I think it's kind of foolish that you're gonna, stop everything until you can have the other 200 people there versus the 50. And I was with Mike. Listen, at this point, both of y'all are over 50 at this point? Like, I'm not even understanding why you want a wedding this big. It's not like you've never been married before. Like, as far as I'm concerned with this wedding, it would be very intimate, and I'm only inviting the people that I want to invite. You know what I mean? Like, I get how Cynthia feels, and I get her feelings, but I was here for Mike in that moment. I was here for it. So Portia Luther King Jr. is out protesting, and she done got her ass arrested. She talked about how she was sitting in front, and she was sitting in a line, and she saw the cops arresting everybody down the line, and she was basically now never. So she went on ahead and got arrested. But like I said again, this ain't Portia's first mug shot. So I mean, it is what it is. Listen, at least you went down for a good cause, Portia. Moving on. All right, you guys. So finally, we see Candy and Todd down at their new restaurant in the making. They said the OLG was really successful, and now they are doing a steakhouse. I guess so, Candy. Then Cynthia calls and asks her, "Oh, well, did you see her about Portia getting arrested?" and blah, 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 blah. We know how that went. This first episode was... It was interesting. It was interesting. It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. I'm assuming next week we're finally going to get introduced to Drew Sidora as well as Latoya Forever. Okay. We're Housewives of Atlanta. Y'all gave me a list CNCN to look at and talk about. So y'all jump down in the comments. Let's get this discussion popping. And until tomorrow at 11 o'clock, I'm going to holler at y'all later. Bye.
What you're given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians and choose to be an accountant because it's safe in a business.